Hello, once again I am back. But I am here for another video game review, but not just one, not two, not three, but four. So what could I be reviewing that has 4 games into it? Well, it's one of my favorite franchises. Twisted Metal, baby. One of my favorite franchises, as a matter of fact, it is number 2 in my all top time franchises of all times. It's actually one of the many reasons why I believe a lot of people bought the PlayStation 1 in the first place, besides Crash Bandicoot or Resident Evil. Now, the first Twisted Metal game, right here. Look at the pretty cover. There's the cover. There's the back. Unfortunately, I lost the instruction manual, but I still got the disc right here, and a nice little thing. Yeah. Back then, back in 1995, people really didn't care how a disc looked. Alright? So, Twisted Metal 1, back in 1995, this was when video gaming was starting to take shape. Pretty much the setting for Twisted Metal 1 was back in Christmas Eve 2005, so you know it's dated. On the streets of LA. Pretty much imagining Los Angeles after the LA Lakers lose a game. Cars are competing for a chance to win a tournament. The winner of the tournament will get anything his or her heart desires. Unfortunately, before you can even get the wish, you must beat last year's champion, Minion. Which, believe me, he was kind of tough back then. As far as for the characters, there were a lot of memorable characters and ones not so much. First, we gotta talk about the man himself, Calypso, who looks like in the first one a burn victim. You know, anybody who remembers seeing the ending with his face looked like it was burned off knows what I'm talking about. But we'll talk more about Calypso throughout the games. Of course, you had Needles Kane, aka Sweet Tooth, the killer clown who drove an ice cream truck. His special weapon in the game was a napalm cone, which was a ice cream set on fucking fire. And he is one of the favorite characters in the whole Twisted Metal franchise. He is known for Twisted Metal. Anytime you ask somebody, hey, name me a character from Twisted Metal, 90 of them say Sweet Tooth, the other ones say Calypso. Of course, you had Warthog, who's changed throughout the history. He's had different drivers. His main weapon of the game was a trio of top secret military missiles, which that character would pretty much keep those weapons till we get to the black child, the red-headed stepchild, the black sheep of the games, which we'll get to later. In Twisted Metal 1, he was trying to retrieve top secret item from a plane crash. You know. By the way, I know someone's going to act ready and talk about Sweet Tooth's ending from the first one. Yeah, he just wanted to grab a bag of hot dogs. Of course, the videos when they were done, by the way, yes, there were videos originally made for this game, but did not come to be. And then, of course, you had other guys like Outlaw, who would remain a character in the franchise, but would have different vehicles. Darkseid, which was one of my personal favorites. Hammerhead, Yellow Jacket, who was Sweet Tooth's dad. Roadkill, which was got weird on what as the games went on. Spectre, who pretty much had an invisible weapon, could fly through walls and stuff, was a very good weapon. Of course, Mr. Grimm, the Grim Reaper of Souls, motorcycle. Agent Stone for Crimson Fury at this time. Pit Viper, which, God, Pit Viper was annoying. And Thumper, which was driven by a gang member, Bruce, who gives a flying Canuck. Now, each one had their own set of different weapons. Now, as far as for the first one goes, most everyone, I believe, either used Sweet Tooth, Grimm, or Darkseid, which were also my 3 favorite characters. Now, of course, Darkseid had the best arm in the game, but unfortunately, he also had the worst weapon in the game at that time. Pretty much just go through the endings. Outlaw, he wanted to stop the tournament. We'll get to that. Darkseid was trying to retrieve something to go back to hell. Dave and Mike at the time just I can't remember what the first ending was. I believe it was getting new tires. Charlie King was looking for his son. Captain Spurs wanted to go back in time and save his crew. Scott Campbell wanted to be brought back to life. Mr. Grimm wanted Calypso's soul. Agent Stone was actually a special agent searching for a item that could liberate the world, aka he was shooting with Warthog for the airplane black box crash. The Doom Buggy vehicle, I can't even remember her fucking name. She was pretty much just trying to get money. Go figure. And of course Bruce and the Thumper and Lowrider was just trying to save his neighborhood, his family, and himself. Now, Twisted Metal 1 actually was also one of the first Twisted Metal games to get put on Sony's Greatest Hits lineup back on March 3rd, 1997. Now, with that being said, Twisted Metal 1 is one of my favorite games in history. It's actually in my top 100 at number 20. Definitely would recommend picking this one up, but you can, I'd say, kind of find this one for cheap if you go to what stores you go to. Definitely would recommend finding it. It's a great play if you never played the first one. Definitely would recommend this one. Now, for the second one, Twisted Metal 2, which just came out a few years, as a matter of fact, 1 year later, 1996, October 31st. This was the second Twisted Metal game. Boom. Unfortunately, I do not have the instruction manual, so I do apologize. But hey, you can see the disc. And his background. There were some new characters introduced. Twisted Metal 2 takes place right after the first one went off. The winner of 1, which would be to be Outlaw, won the game. As many of you know who saw that ending, he did get his wish. Unfortunately, Calypso, mixing his words, sent him to outer space. Now, of course, in this one, you had the following: Shadow, Grasshopper, Outlaw 2, which was driven by the sister of the original Outlaw, Mr. Grimm returned, Hammerhead, Thumper, Axel was new, Mr. Slam was new, Twister, Spectre, Warthog, and Mr. Roadkill. Now, of course, you could also unlock Sweet Tooth and play as Minion. The final boss for this one was Darktooth. But before you could get to him, there was a sub-boss in the middle of the game, and he was Minion. Now, out of all the characters who appeared in the second one, the only ones to stay, I would say, relevant and still be a part of the franchise's most beloved characters was pretty much Axel. I mean, he's the only one who's really never had to change. Him, Sweet Tooth, and Grimm to a degree. They have really never changed. Now this one, pretty much, which will become a stable for 3 and 4, will take place in different parts of the world. So that was good. Calypso was once again having the tournament. It did start out in LA, but it would end in Asia. I just can't remember what freaking part of Asia, so excuse me for that. And as a matter of fact, you can actually get this on the PlayStation Network. So I definitely recommend trying to get it if you don't own it on disc. Now this is probably the best known Twisted Metal game in the franchise. It's one of the most played repeatedly, and is one of my personal faves as well. My favorite characters in it were, of course, Mr. Slam, because of his special, Axel, which was just great to use, and Sweet Tooth and Mr. Grimm. Now the endings were better in this game. Definitely better. Some were funny, some were dark. And an interesting side note, Grasshopper was driven by Calypso's daughter to a degree. She was rebuilt, and, well, they blew him up. The cops, the LAPD blew Calypso's ass straight to fucking hell. A lot of different endings. Unfortunately, the problem is, when we get to the next two, you don't really know who's the winner. So say bye to Twisted Metal 2. Great game. Definitely recommend picking that up. Twisted Metal 1 and 2 get a 5 out of 5 in my book. Now this is when things get weird. Twisted Metal 3 would be for the first time developed by a different company for Twisted Metal. As many of you know, 1 and 2 are both developed by the same team. Unfortunately, due to a which was Sony United Studios, pretty much developed by the same team. However, once 3 and 4 came out, things started to change. It was fully developed by 989 Studios, so there was a little bit of a problem with that. Now, for the third one, the plot really didn't change. Takes place a few years later. By the way, here's the brand spanking new disc that shows you that. And of course, in the game, you did every vehicle was driven by somebody new, except for Axel, Sweet Tooth, and Mr. Grimm, and of course Minion. But we'll get to the other characters in the other new characters in a minute. Pretty much, Calypso wasn't a blimp this time. All the endings were retarded and comical. There was really no dark or creepy endings. So that was problem one. 989 Studios, I don't think they knew what they were doing. By the way, this one came out in October 1998. You cannot find this one or the next one I'm about to do on the PlayStation Network. So yeah, if you were looking for them, don't! Now, of course, the new characters were Agar, who was Buster Crab. Had a big old drill on his freaking thing. His ending, like I said, the endings were stupid. You can find them on YouTube. I don't even want to talk about the endings because they were so dumb. Mr. Grimm, of course. You had a new driver once again in the Spectre car, Lance Water, who, I think he wanted to be a television star, I think. Ghost Missile was, you did have a new character, and this would be the only time you would actually see him. Firestarter, which was driven by a guy who likes to sit on fire. The end. Of course, you had Flower Power, who was a hippie-ass chick, you know, who wanted to turn the world green. Her ending, I'm happy she got killed in her ending. Spoiler alert. Then, of course, you had Thumper. Once again, Bruce was back. Again. Hammerhead, which is somewhat of a returning vehicle, but the driver was now driven by a grandmother. Go fucking figure. Axel, once again, returned. Marcus Kane, driving Roadkill. By the way, Marcus Kane and Sweet Tooth are one and the same, if you haven't figured that out by now. Captain Rogers is Warthog, pretty much kept the same weapons. The weird thing is, though, Firestarter got Thumper's original weapon, which was a giant flamethrower, while Thumper got Sonic Blast, which was stupid. Club Kid, who was a freaking retard. I think he was British and he was a raver. Buzz and James Roberts from the original Outlaw franchise, original 1 and 2 games, back in the Outlaw car. So there was special weapon, didn't really freaking change. Sweet Tooth again. Mr. Ash drives the dark side. Now people said you could play as him, but I never knew how to get him. I think you had to use like a shark thing or something. Minion, of course, put in a code. He would be the boss character for London. Then, of course, Primeval, who had all the special weapons in the game, and this would be the only time you hear of him. Now, as much as some people hate this game, I think it gets a bum out, because it is an okay game. Is it one of the best? No. But it's not the worst one. I give it a 3. I mean, it is playable, and it does have some fun instance in it. But compared to the next one and the last PS1 Twisted Metal game, excluding Small Ball, which I don't have, I don't consider that a part of the Twisted Metal franchise. To a degree, yes it is, but it's so fucking stupid. I don't even think people want to admit they own it. Now let's get to what is probably the worst Twisted Metal game, excluding Small Ball, but Small Ball was meant for little kids. Is this Twisted Metal fucking 4. My God in heaven, what a pile of crap this is. 989 Serial once again was back up for it, and this, believe it or not, was also released for Sony's Greatest Hits lineup. So you know Sony was not thinking at all. Now it does get a lot of mixed reviews from critics. Some loved it, which made me question the insanity. Others hated it, and I'm a part of the hated department. Now, this came out in 1999. To me, you know, it's hard to put into words this game. Pretty much the story is Sweet Tooth now wants the competition. This is the first time you get to play as Calypso. Unfortunately, one of the main problems with the game, each stage counts its own boss. Now, you can defeat the boss, and you do get to play as the bosses, but they have no endings. They all have the same fucking ending. And you can create a code, which, hey, great. But the created code has a a generic ending, just like the bosses do. Even Sweet Tooth, I believe. Now, Mr. Grimm in this one, which by the way, all of them didn't have a name. They all went by their vehicle name, which, excluding Calypso and Captain Grimm and Rob Zombie, which were actually the only 3 good characters in the fucking game as far as I'm concerned. And the only reason Rob Zombie was playable was because almost every song in the game was his. Mr. Grimm, unfortunately, like I said, was not Mr. Grimm anymore. He was a fucking pirate! Which was disrespectful to everybody. Just as bad as Twisted, the newer Twisted Metal that Mr. Grimm was, and I'll get to that on another day. Of course, Calypso, which, hey, was nice to play as him. Unfortunately, his ending was retarded, just like the rest of theirs in this game. Had the worst endings I've ever seen in the Twisted Metal franchise. I can't even remember any of the endings. That's how bad they were. I know the Twisted Metal 3 endings. I just don't want to talk about them. This game, I can't even remember the endings. Does that fucking tell you how bad it is? I mean, come on. You had a fucking leprechaun. You had Hornswoggle in the game. You know, this game, right here, pile of shit. And I got this when I was visiting my hometown for $3. Does that tell you how bad it is? The store was selling it for $3. Probably the worst $3 I've ever spent. But hey, I needed that to somewhat complete my Twisted Metal one. Because I just got a good small ball left. Trust me. If I get it, I'm doing a review about that. Because believe me, I need to give it a review and give it a lashing it deserves. Yeah, so this game, I would only pick this up if you are a die-hard Twisted Metal fan. You will hate it. At least I did anyway, which is the surprising thing. This gets a lot of mixed reviews. Some say it's the worst one, some say it's actually fun, depending who you are. As far as I'm concerned, it's a pile of crap. So to me, if you're going to buy any of the old school Twisted Metal games, my best advice, you pick up 1, you pick up 2, and you pick up 3. Oops. Well, you can tell what it is. But for the love of God, stay away from this one! Alright, stay away from Twisted Metal 4. Now, like I said, I'm a fan of the franchise. I still got Black on disc, and I got Black on the PlayStation Store. Maybe I'll talk about Twisted Metal Black one day down the road. But till then, that's my review of the Twisted Metal franchise, 1 through 4 for the PlayStation 1. Yeah, I recommend the first 3. The 4th one, stay the hell away from. All right, 1 and 2 get a 5 out of 5. 3 gets a 3 out of 5. 4, do I even have to say it? Depending on what mood I'm in, it may get a 2 or it may get a 1. As far as I'm concerned, it's a big pile of shit, and I'd rather light it on fucking fire. That's how much I hate it. Alright. Alright, well that is it for today. So until I see you next time when I got Tekken Tag 2 to review. Yes, I'm reviewing a PS3 game next time. And I have a movie review to do as well. What movie is it? You have to wait and see then. Till then. You know who I am, the DOGG, signing out saying good night, good morning, or if you're waking up, hello! Or if you're watching this in the afternoon, have a great day, have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.